Would you sleep on top of a frozen lake tonight? Not beside it, not near it. On it with 40 meters of black, freezing water directly under your bed, held back by nothing except ice. And one more detail. Parked on that ice with you, a truck weighing over 30 tons. Think of your honest answer. Now hold on to it. Because every winter, in the far north of Canada, ice road truckers do exactly this. They drive loaded semi-trucks across frozen lakes on roads that only exist for 8 weeks a year. And on some nights, we're going to talk about they shut the engine down to an idle, climb into the sleeper, and go to sleep on the lake. But here's the twist that makes this story completely different from every other trucking video we've made. On a normal highway, parking and sleeping is the safest thing a tired driver can do. On an ice road, it's the opposite. On the ice, stopping is the most dangerous thing a truck can do. And that changes everything about how these drivers sleep. Stay with me because by the end of this, you'll understand why ice road truckers sleep with their seatbelt off, their gear staged by the door, and sometimes with the door not fully latched. First, you need to understand what an ice road actually is. Because it's not a road that got icy, it's a road made of ice. Every winter in Canada's Northwest Territories, when the temperature locks in at -30 and below, crews go out onto the frozen lakes and begin building highways on top of the water. They plow the snow off the ice because snow is an insulating blanket, and removing it lets the cold reach down and thicken the ice faster. They drill test holes constantly, measuring thickness centimeter by centimeter. They flood thin sections with lake water and let it freeze, building the ice up layer by layer like plywood. And when that ice reaches roughly a meter thick enough to carry a fully loaded semi-truck, the winter road opens. The most famous of these, the winter road running north from Yellowknife toward the diamond mines, stretches for hundreds of kilometers, and most of that distance is not land. It's lake after frozen lake, connected by short land crossings called portages. For about 8 to 10 weeks late January to sometime in March, this frozen highway is the only ground route to some of the most remote mines and communities on the continent. A whole year of fuel, equipment, and supplies has to move north in those 8 weeks. Thousands of truckloads. Around the clock. Which means drivers don't just cross these lakes. They live on this road for the whole season. Eating on it. Waiting on it. And yes, sleeping on it. But before we get to the sleeping, you need to learn the rules of the ice. Because the ice has rules. And every single one of them exists because somebody at some point learned it the hard way. Rule number 1 surprises everyone. On the ice road, driving too fast doesn't just risk a crash. It can break the road itself. Here's the physics, and it's genuinely incredible. When a heavy truck drives across floating ice, the ice bends just slightly under the weight. That bending pushes down on the water below, and the truck ends up pushing an invisible pressure wave through the water, traveling along under the ice right beneath the truck. Drive at the wrong speed, and that wave can build up, race ahead of you, and slam into the shoreline where the water gets shallow and the ice can crack, heave, or blow out right in front of your bumper. That's why ice road speed limits are shockingly low, often around 25 kilometers per hour for loaded trucks, even slower approaching shorelines. Hours and hours of crawling across white nothingness at the speed of a bicycle. Drivers call it the slowest, most stressful driving of their lives. Rule number 2, keep your distance. Loaded trucks travel spread far apart, often half a kilometer or more, because 2 heavy trucks close together concentrate too much weight on one area of floating ice. The convoy stays in radio contact, but physically, each truck is alone on its own patch of lake. And rule number 3, the one this whole video is about, don't park on the ice any longer than you have to. Because here's the thing almost nobody outside the north knows. Ice is strong against a moving load, but under a load that just sits there, ice slowly gives up. Engineers call it creep. Park 30 plus tons in one spot, and hour by hour the ice sheet under it slowly bends downward. Millimeter by millimeter, like a plastic ruler under a weight. Water can seep up through cracks around the tires. Give it enough time, enough weight, and not enough thickness, and the dent becomes a bowl, and the bowl becomes a problem you cannot fix. A moving truck borrows the ice's strength for a second and gives it back. A parked truck starts a slow motion countdown. So now you understand the question at the heart of this video. If stopping on the ice is dangerous, how does anyone sleep out there? The honest answer is, carefully, by the rules and never by accident. Most nights, ice road truckers sleep at camps and staging areas along the route, on portages, on solid ground at the lake edges, or on sections of ice engineered and measured to be thick enough for parking. These spots aren't random. They're chosen and checked by the road crews, drilled and measured, because thick enough to drive on and thick enough to park a loaded truck on all night are two very different numbers. And when a driver does spend the night out on the frozen lake at a designated holding area, or stuck waiting out a whiteout, or sitting with a broken down truck until help arrives, the sleeping routine changes into something you won't see anywhere else in trucking. The engine stays running all night. Out here, at -35 and below, that's not a comfort decision. The truck must stay alive, warm, and ready to move at any moment. This is one of the only places in North America where idling all night isn't lazy. It's procedure. The seatbelt stays off. The winter gear boots, parka, mitts stay staged in one spot in reach of the bunk in the exact same arrangement every night, so that hands can find it in total darkness, half asleep, in seconds, and on the coldest, deepest nights on the ice. Many veterans sleep with the door unlatched, closed against the cold, but not locked, not sealed. Because if the ice ever gives the wrong sound, the last thing you want between you and the outside is a frozen door latch. 15 seconds can be the whole story out here. And then there's the part of the night that no first-year driver ever forgets, the ice talks. All night long, the lake booms, cracks, and sings, long groaning notes that roll under the truck like whale song, sudden rifle shot cracks that echo across the whole lake, deep percussion booms that you feel in your chest through the mattress. New drivers hear those sounds and grab the door handle with their heart pounding. Veterans? Veterans sleep right through it. Because here's the beautiful, counterintuitive truth they all learn in their first season. A loud lake is usually a healthy lake. Those booming sounds are the ice expanding and tightening and the deep cold the sheet getting stronger, adjusting, locking itself down. The ice sings loudest on the coldest nights, and the coldest nights make the strongest ice. That gunshot crack that terrifies a rookie is, to a veteran, a lullaby that means the road is growing thicker underneath him while he sleeps. What wakes a veteran isn't noise. It's the same thing that wakes veteran drivers everywhere on Earth. From Canadian truck stops to Siberian railways. Silence. A warm, quiet, still night on the ice. That's when experienced drivers sleep light. Because warm nights are when the ice weakens. Cold, loud nights, they sleep like babies. 30 tons on a frozen lake. 40 meters of black water below. Gunshots echoing across the ice all night long. Think about your answer from the start of this video. Still the same? Morning on the ice road starts before sunrise, and the first check is one that exists nowhere else in trucking. The driver walks around the truck and looks at the ice around his tires. He's looking for the signs of creep-fresh cracks radiating out from the wheels, water seeping up dark against the white, the shallow dish shape of ice that has been bending overnight. On a properly chosen, properly measured parking area, there's nothing to see. But the check happens anyway. Every driver, every morning, every time. On the ice, assumptions are the only thing that actually kills. Then, the crawl begins again. 25 kilometers an hour. Radio checks with the trucks ahead and behind. Eyes on the shoreline approaches. Load after load, day after day, for 8 straight weeks. Because when the sun climbs higher in March and the ice starts to soften, this entire highway simply melts. Every kilometer of road, every marked lane, every parking area gone, back into the lake until next winter. The season doesn't end, it disappears. And that's the strangest, most beautiful fact of this entire story. Ice road truckers spend their winters sleeping on top of a road that by summer will not exist. Boats will sail over the exact spot where they parked, idled, and dreamed. So now you know how ice road truckers sleep on a frozen lake, engine running, gear staged, door unlatched, lullabied by a lake that booms like artillery and woken only by silence. Now it's your turn. Go back to that answer you gave at the start. Could you sleep out there, 30 tons on a meter of ice, 40 meters of water under your bunk, the lake cracking all night? Would your answer still be the same after everything you've just learned? Drop your honest answer in the comments, and if you've ever driven or worked on an ice road, tell us the loudest ice sound you've ever heard, because I read every single one. If you enjoyed this, hit like and subscribe for more real stories about extreme trucking and life on the road, because next time, we're leaving the cold completely behind. Same trucks, same sleepers, but plus 45 degrees, where the problem isn't keeping heat in, it's that the heat never, ever leaves. Stay safe out there, and I'll see you down the road.